All right, Chad, episode 9. Lisa Nicole, tell me a little bit about Lisa.
Yeah, well, I would be if I didn't start with the fact that my wife, Karen, who we met on episode 1 of our podcast,
Yeah.
she is one of the biggest fans in the world of probably, what Lisa is most well known for is being part of the CCM group Out of Eden,
Yeah.
which won awards, had many hit singles, toured across the world. Just an amazing group. So as we were starting 90s worship night, my wife's like, "You got to figure out a way we can get Lisa involved." And it just actually happened naturally because one of the episodes we're doing is about Jeff Dio and Sonic Flood era, which happens to be probably the biggest song from that album is Lisa's duet
hmm
with Jeff on "I Can Sing of Your Love Forever." So looking forward
Beautiful.
to
Look forward to
chatting
it.
with her
Well,
about that. Yep.
she's standing by. I know she's listening on this, but I got to say, I just went to the Spotify and was listening to her. She got a couple singles there, and they're Lisa Nicole. And I was like, I was feeling the groove. That was like really, really in the pocket. So I love that when there's some musical richness and soulfulness. So looking forward to this. Well, let's talk to Lisa Nicole. Here we go.
Welcome, Lisa. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. Thank you. Excited to be with you guys today.
Are you really? I mean, I know
I
you watched one
am.
of our episodes. You must be a little nervous.
I can talk, so it's fine. Like
Oh, you
it's
can.
totally fine.
Yeah,
That's good.
no,
Yeah.
no, no. Lisa's in the upper echelon of professionals, Ryan. So we
Okay.
we are
Okay.
fine here. We are
Okay.
Well,
fine.
it's
It's
kind
me.
of
I'm the
cool.
one that's.
No, it's cool too because I spend a lot of time on praise charts as a worship leader, so
You
it's really like
do? What?
I do. I
Oh
spend
my
a lot
goodness.
of time on
Oh,
praise charts.
okay.
So
Well,
yes,
I'm
this
not
is pretty
plugging
cool.
this as a subtle promo for praise charts, but I do appreciate. Yes.
Honestly.
I
It's helped
always
me
love
with
it when
many a
I
set
when I
list.
talk to artists. Then when I talk to artists, who was I talking to yesterday? I was just interviewing someone there like it was Josh Baldwin from Bethel. And Josh is like, "Oh yeah, I got praise charts on my computer." And I'm like,
Yep.
"Really? No way."
Top 10 songs for Easter.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's right. The funny thing with Josh though, he's like, "I have my charts. I download my charts from your site, so I know what my chords are." So
That
I
is
was like,
so funny.
"Wow,
Yes.
seriously?
Extremely
Okay,
that's
helpful.
this is
that's
yeah."
that's funny. That is
However,
very
we can
funny.
help you there, Josh. No problem. But Lisa, I will
Yes.
say I did really love listening to your songs. I was just listening on Spotify. You have a beautiful
Thank you.
voice and a beautiful, soulful Same God. You did an arrangement of Same God, and it's like makes the sound feel fresh. Song feel
Yeah,
fresh.
thank you. I was
Mm-hmm.
honored to work with Aaron Lindsay on that song, who you know
Mm-hmm.
from Israel, and Marvin Sapp and many others. And we just wanted to do something different, take it in like a more gospel direction. And I think
Mm-hmm.
he just killed it. Like it was amazing and
Yeah.
amazing to work with him. So,
Good stuff. Good stuff.
yeah.
Well, Chad, why don't you? Where are we going to take this? Well, you guys have some history together. I'm the new kid on the block
Yeah,
here. You guys know each other.
yeah. Well, it's really exciting. I've as Lisa knows, we've been for the last 3 years really putting together this docu series, which
Mm-hmm.
fingers
Yeah.
crossed we're hopefully going to launch in September. It's gotten some delays,
Amen.
but we've got a target date, so we'll cross our fingers. But one of the episodes that we're covering is about. Really, it's kind of an origin story. It's a lot of fun because obviously it's kind of focused upon Jeff Dio's life story and how Sonic Flood came together. But part of that, the narrative is the creation of Goatee Records, and then Out of Eden, and that all came together in the seminal moment of the Sonic Flood album, where Lisa uh, got to do a duet with Jeff on "I Can Sing of Your Love Forever," which was a
Yeah.
huge
Really?
radio smash.
Yeah.
And one of the first worship songs to actually make it on Christian radio. So
Yeah.
it's really neat narrative. So we cover that in detail in the docu series, and yeah, so that's kind of where we got into it at this point, and we have an exciting announcement too here. We'll end the podcast with. I don't want to spoil that,
Yeah.
but yeah, so that's where we can start is just Lisa, I love to kind of hear your recollection, and I know y'all have had a
Hmm.
Out of Eden's had an anniversary, an important anniversary here in recent
Yes.
months. So just yeah, what were the '90s like? What is your if you were to kind of
Memories.
sum it up, in a couple of
Oh my
minutes, what was your
gosh.
experience?
So honestly, I mean, as a 90s kid, I'm extremely fond of the 90s.
Yeah.
I think it's just the best time ever. And for Out of Eden, we got signed to Goatee Records in 94. My mom, we started with Goatee Productions, and my mom was like, okay, well, you can sign the girls if you take them on tour. If DC Talk takes them on tour, you can sign the girls. So we ended up doing the Free at Last tour, 65 cities. It was the three of us in like a
Ugh.
1975 Chevy, like pre-conversion van. It was like the flat top, had
Wow.
8-track, and we just toured the world. I mean, toured the country and had this amazing experience. And then signed to Goatee. Did release "Lovely Day" as like our first single, and I think it was like the first like Christian single, which was really cool. And Sonic Flood. So I knew Otto Price through DC Talk. He was Sugar Bear, played the bass for them, and he asked me to be a part of this record with this group. And I didn't really know who they were. I knew we were label mates, but I loved the song. Like, I thought the song was just beautiful. I thought the arrangement that they did was beautiful, and it felt like something fresh and new and different to be a part of, kind of just explore a different side of myself, and my musicality. And so I was like, absolutely, let's do it.
Hmm.
I come from, like, I went to a really progressive church in Nashville. So I knew that world and was familiar with modern worship from a young age. So it was really nice to be asked to be a part of it.
Hmm.
And then to hear it on TJ Maxx, like in TJ Maxx, like several years later, I was like, wait, that's me. Like, that's crazy. Yeah.
Crazy, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why I love Lisa. I know you've had this experience too with other projects, but I mean, not that they didn't have high hopes for that first Sonic Flood record, but you don't start a record out like, yo, this is going to sell 1 million copies, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I had no idea. I mean, literally no idea. And just to see what God did with that record was just pretty amazing. And I think, it was just so fresh. It was so like honest and pure and heartfelt. And I think Jeff and I's voices like sounded really good together. And I was really blessed to see just how people received the record.
Hmm.
Yeah, very awesome, very awesome. So we have that, and kind of getting back to Out of Eden, another '90s worship song. We talked about this in our interview, but
Yes.
on y'all's hymns album, you covered Better as One Day.
Oh,
Yeah.
Uh,
wow. The classics. So
Yes.
good.
Yes. The class.
Yeah.
Because it's like with Out of Eden, we did our demographic and our ministry purpose was very different than I think what we started to hear on the radio after. I mean, I, came into CCM music. I grew up listening to like Crystal Lewis and, as a young child, I remember Glad. I remember the Imperials. My mother,
Hmm.
she became a Christian at an Andre Crouch concert and did what, everybody did in the 70s, like threw all their secular records away. It was like, I have decided to follow Jesus, no turning
Right.
back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we were only allowed to listen to Christian music in our house. So I had, the Leon Patillos, the Sandy Patties, Twyla Paris. Like when I was a kid, like I would sing I can't remember the name of the song, but a Twyla Paris song when we would go to churches and sing. I would sing Twyla Paris. So but Out of Eden, we really wanted to be a voice to our generation, and really wanted to be an alternative for some of the stuff that was in the world that people were listening to, and be a Christian group that kids could be proud of and introduce to their friends and share the Lord through our music. Um, so we weren't really in the worship space at all. Like that wasn't really a part of who we were outside of church. But in church, like I remember I went to Belmont Church in Nashville, Tennessee, and Amy Grant went there, Michael W. Smith went there, and they used to have these worship nights where they would have the Belmont Youth Group over to Amy's barn and just like sing and play music. I mean, it was like we were getting concerts like once a month. Like it was an incredible
Really?
experience. And that, I think for me, really developed like my heart for worship.
Yeah.
That's where it became less of something you do on stage or at church or on Sunday morning, and something that you do every day through your life, through your voice, through your actions. So it was cool, like later getting into the hymns record and being able to kind of showcase a different side of ourselves.
I noticed that Amy Grant, I think she just re-released that album called Songs from the Loft. Are you familiar with that
Wow.
project? It just
That,
came out on Spotify and I
Yeah,
cut my teeth on those songs. Like
yeah.
those were the days where you stuck a cassette in your car and you just listened to it all month because you just
Yep.
didn't, and the songs became embedded into you, and so many of those songs. So you were a part of that, being in Amy's loft.
Yeah,
What was that
I wasn't
experience
on the
like?
recording. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, 14, 15, something like that. And they would just have the kids
Mm-hmm.
over and we just worship in their barn. And
Wow.
funny story, like Smitty was going to, I was up for homecoming court in high school. And
Mm-hmm.
he said that if I won, he would be my escort. He used to have this little red what was that called? Like a Miata or like a red convertible Miata, something
Yeah.
like that. He was like, "I'll be your escort," but I didn't win, so I
Oh.
didn't get to have that moment. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was.
that is funny.
So funny.
And this is before we were out of Eden. This was
Yes.
before any of that. So they were very important in my life.
Yeah. I think what's so amazing about all of this whole 90s thing is these are songs looking back at how they shaped our lives when we were
Yes.
so, in many ways we were very vulnerable and open, like we were open to influence, right? And music pours in influence even in our current
Yes.
generation, but now we are living in our 40s, 50s, or 30s, whatever we're at. But the 90s were kind of like that shaping generation, and the three of us even right here are an example of here's what happens 25, 30 years later. What kind of people does that music make, right? and
Yeah.
and and now that's a part of our story. It's so close and dear
Exactly.
to us. I love hearing
It,
stories like you're sharing when you're a teenager, and well, I didn't get to go in Amy Grant's loft. I just had to go in my own loft and play the CD. You actually got to be there with her.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. Like
Yeah.
Nashville is one of those places. It's just a wonderful place for music, but particularly Christian music. And it holds just, I mean, I miss it. It holds like a really dear
Hmm.
spot in my heart, but it's just, it was just all around you. And to be at the place where like church music was moving into this really like exciting,
Yeah.
creative, like relevant
Yes.
space where young people could, engage, and it was, just fun. Like it made worship music in the 90s made it fun to be a believer.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
That's
it's
right.
like, oh,
I
this
would
this is
be
cool.
interested to know, because you're obviously still touching in the industry. What's your sense of how it was then and how it is today? How would you compare or contrast what role Christian music is playing in our young people's lives? Like you as a 15-year-old back in the 90s or whenever it was, and then what about
Yeah.
15-year-olds today? What do you think feels different? What's the
So I think what feels different is there's just a lot more options.
Yeah?
There's so many songs that come out on Friday. I think, like you're saying, we used to listen to cassettes and just listen and like soak it in
Yeah.
because there was nothing else to listen. Like we had to wait, months before something
Mhm.
else would come out. So I think that there's a lot of choices out there, and it is. I think it's a great thing on one end because you can really find what you connect with. I think our attention span makes it a little bit more difficult to just like really lean in and dig into something. It's just kind of like, okay, next, 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 next. So I think
Yeah.
that that's different. Um, but I am encouraged by, the artists out there that are doing music that is relevant to young people, that people um, can relate to, like lyrically can relate to. And, it's funny, like, I don't know, you see those memes on Instagram and it's like modern worship and it's like, hey, God is good, hey. And you're
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
okay, like
Yeah, I know.
that's kind of, how it is. But I think, when you're reaching people, and you're doing it for the right reasons, I think, it is to be applauded when you can kind of get out of, like what feels traditional and do something new. I think that's exciting.
Yeah. I wonder if in 2060 we'll be doing a podcast about the music of the 2025s. Like, will that
Well, I definitely
happen?
won't be. I can promise you that.
You're like, I'm out.
Yeah, you're
Yes.
tapping out of that one. I
Yes.
think just now listening to you, Lisa, the fact that we were putting these cassettes in and didn't have other options, and those
Yeah.
songs became so embedded into our DNA, like you're saying, nowadays it's next, 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 and the songs don't play over and over and over again, like almost whether we like them or not. They're not just
Right.
in the cassette player. I don't even have a cassette player or a CD player or anything.
Nope.
I don't even have a place to put something in my computer. It's just wireless. It We breathe music like air,
Yes.
and I wonder how that impact is different than how music is having a different kind of impact. Maybe that's why we are so fond of the 90s, because there was
Yeah.
something so special. We were coming out of the era of the 8-track player, moving into cassette and CD. Like, that's the era where music got planted into our minds and hearts in a unique way. So, and
Yeah. I think
yeah.
also it now you have to put out music so much
Mhm.
faster. In the
Mhm.
90s, I think people really, not to say that they don't now, but people really took their time with music. It was, and music was an
Yeah.
experience start to finish. Like you couldn't fast forward, and just like you would listen to an album from the first song to the last song, and
Right.
it just provided this holistic, if you will, experience
Yeah.
of experiencing music. And I think it's sad that we don't have that. There were more of a
Mhm.
single market. Not to sound like, the good old days, like an old
Mhm.
lady, but I really think that, people are missing out on that experience.
Mhm.
Um, for
It's
sure.
funny. We're just getting ready to put an album out in a couple of weeks, and we're going through that process of, well, what's the order of the songs? And someone on our team was like, it hardly even matters what the order is, because people are going to listen to it in random order anyways, or it might be part of a playlist and disconnected from the previous. So we don't have that experience anymore. So
Right.
it's right. It's almost a little sad.
Yeah, it is. It's almost a
Yeah.
little sad, but I'm encouraged that there's, people doing, music that, it's still exciting. You know what I mean? Like I love, what Elevation, Maverick City, like those, that it's exciting, it's fun. And I think that we will, continue to see like a great impact, from the music that people are doing today. Will it be the 90s? I can't say, but
Hmm.
Yeah, well,
you know,
this is a great segue, So we definitely need to touch on. Yeah, obviously, Out of Eden's been on hiatus for a while, but
yes.
there is a fun little project y'all have planned that we have to talk about here.
Yeah, so it's our 30th anniversary. I don't even think we realized it. A friend of ours posted something and we were like, "Oh, right, it is our 30th." Seems like yesterday. And so we wanted to do like a fan appreciation record. Um, we kind of like retired. We did a greatest hits record and then in 2006 we just like retired, 2006, 2007, something like that. And we didn't maybe give like the a good farewell. and if people were like, what, no, it also wasn't the age of social media, so we couldn't make like this, like, hey everybody, we're out. So people have been wondering, like,
Yeah.
where are you guys? Put out new music. So we are doing a fan appreciation like EP where we're remixing a few of our songs and putting out a couple new ones. And I'm really, really excited about that. I mean, my sisters and I, we just love each other so much. So any amount of time that we get to spend together is good time.
Beautiful.
So that's a project I'm really looking forward to. Got to find the
Fantastic.
time. I'm like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. So good.
Yeah, yeah. Because
yes,
speaking of which, I mean, Lisa, you're one of the worship leaders at your home church there in the DC
yes,
metro area. So
yes.
you guys are doing some awesome. So every time I tune in, I love what I hear there. So
Thank you. I mean, I lead worship at Grace Covenant Church of Virginia. I lead at our Chantilly location, and at our Capitol Hill location. And it's two very different experiences within
Hmm.
one congregation. So Chantilly is big. We've got, lights and, smoke machines. And it's not like a show, but we have, all
yeah,
the things. We've
Hmm.
got a full band, like crazy, everything's musicians, crazy singers. Like it's really like on that side. And then Cap Hill is a church plant. And it's like this weekend I'm worshiping, leading, and it's myself and a guitarist and a drummer, and that's it. So it's like two very different
Hmm.
situations. In our church at Chantilly tends to be more like orthopathic types of songs, where our pastor at the Cap Hill location is encouraging more songs like orthodoxy, like just who God is. And so it's really interesting for me as a worship leader, as an intellectual, to kind of research and study the scriptures and study music and find songs. It's hard to find songs that are more orthodoxy in nature. Of like, we could sing "Holy Forever" every Sunday, but
Yes.
people
Yeah.
might tire of that. So it's interesting. It's an interesting kind of space that we're in, I think, as a church, as a church culture. To make sure that the music that we're doing does continue to focus more on who God is. But at the same time, we're relational and we're human. And so we relate to
Hmm.
him based on what he's done for us. So it's an
Hmm.
interesting kind of place that we find ourselves in.
Hmm. Lots of churches are in that situation where they will have those two kinds of campuses. I know our church is like that too. I'll go from leading one Sunday, big band, full, big sound, and then the next Sunday it's stretching to find an acoustic guitar and a
Yes.
piano player, and
Yes.
and it's in a
yeah,
school gym, or but it's just much more much more kind of down to earth, and that's good. That word orthopathic, I don't know if I've heard that word before. I could look it up, but I'm just gonna come out and ask you,
Yeah.
what does that mean?
Yes. Sure. So it's more like what God does for us. Like,
Okay.
the songs like I was here and God did this, or like
Yes.
a Trust in God by Maverick City, or
Mm-hmm.
they're more just relating to God on what he's done,
Right.
where the orthodoxy is relating to God on who he is. And
Who
I
he
think
is. Very
we
good.
have a lot, the orthopathic songs really do tug at us in an emotional way that I think is really great. And sometimes, it's like, in a relationship, you like somebody because of what they do for you. Like, yeah, I like
Right.
you, but you get me flowers and you take me to nice
Yeah.
dinners and you
Yeah.
call me and bring me Starbucks and all that. But then the longer you are in a relationship, then you begin to love and care for the person because of who they are. But I think
Yes.
those orthopathic songs really help us get to the throne room and get to a place of, man, God, like, you're
Yes.
amazing. It's not just because of what you do, but it's your nature.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. You're
so
worthy
I
because of who you are, right? Those are,
yes,
yeah.
exactly.
And
But as
truthfully,
humans,
we need
sometimes
both songs to sing. And some
exactly.
songs maybe could take us in both places, but that's really fascinating to hear you say that and relate that to two campuses. You're saying that one campus in your church leans slightly more one way. So
Yes.
fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. We lean more in that. I mean, it would still, but we arrive at the same place. So it's really
Yeah.
interesting. But I think the congregation at the Chantilly location maybe resonates more with what God has done.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and in the smaller, in the Cap Hill location, there's just, they're both pure, so I don't want to like put one above the other, but there is, like you were saying, just kind of this more laid back, more centered experience that you get when you break it all down.
Mm-hmm.
It just, it just forces you to engage as a congregation without all of the other stuff,
Mm-hmm.
which I think can be hard. It can be
Yeah.
challenging if you're used to. I remember I went to this church when I lived in California, and it really, I had to really check myself because I walk in and they have the band and all that kind of stuff, and it was, I mean, it just was, they didn't sound good, I'll put it like
Yeah.
that. It
Yeah.
just sounded like a
Oh.
hot mess, and it
Yeah.
was hard for me to engage, and I was judging, and it was like the Lord just like spoke to me and was like, really, like, so you need like perfect singers and perfect musicians and perfect all this stuff to
And
acknowledge who
smoke. You
I
need
am.
smoke
To,
as well, right?
you
Yeah,
need
smoke
smoke,
machines. Yeah, smoke machines.
right? And I really had to like repent and just kind of
Yeah.
go, right, God, you're right,
Yeah.
you're right, you're right.
Right.
So
Right.
on a vulnerable moment,
Yeah.
About
Wow.
love that. Well, I love in our first docuseries episode. Lyndall Cool, he ends it with, he's like, the Lord is not here to hear the musicians. He's heard better.
Yeah,
And that stuck with me. I was just like, that's really true. Like, we can't even imagine, like, what is the music in heaven like? I don't know, but I'm sure it's a lot better than what we got
Yeah.
have to offer here.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
So
indeed, indeed. Yeah, we're
Wow.
not seeking to like blow him away with our skill set.
No. Yeah.
While we do want to be skilled,
Yeah.
yes.
we that's not the thing that's blowing him away.
Yeah.
Like our hearts is what blows him away.
Yeah. So
So
good.
so well said. Well, next week we've got to cover the new single, "Just to Be Close to You,"
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'll tell my side of it, and then I want to hear your side of the story here. So, Ryan, if you want to pull up our
Yeah, I
website,
can
the
show you
Breakthrough the
that the
Stars.
image.
Uh, well,
Oh,
that's the wrong.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
there
I
we go.
got
There we
there
go.
you
Okay,
go.
there.
There we
We'll start with
go.
that. Okay, so the story is we wanted to do a studio album, '90s worship night, to kind of commemorate the docu series coming together, and that album turned out to be called "Break Through the Stars," and didn't really have any concept of what the set list was going to be. It was just kind of like, Holy Spirit, you curate this, and we'll play it that way, which I'm so glad that we did.
Mm-hmm.
But my wife and I, we felt led to ask Lisa to be a part of it, and we just kind of said, hey, here's maybe some ideas, run with it, and just see what comes out. And I'll never forget, Ryan, like Lisa sent me, me and Karen, the I guess kind of work tape, if you will, demo of what she came up with, which is a derivative of Fred Hammond's "Just to Be Close to You." And we were just blown away. Lyrics
Hmm.
just super clever, but super relatable and inspirational, and just such a fresh beat, but still having the elements that everyone loved from that time period, in the production as well. And it's been astounding since everyone since the album's come out, everyone's heard it. Um, a lot of folks who necessarily don't listen to that style of music, on a daily basis, they've consistently come back and said that that's one of their favorite tracks, which means a lot because as I've talked with Lisa about, I mean, really our goal for the Breakthrough the Stars album was to have a true multicultural album, not just in name only, where you say that and every song sounds exactly the same, maybe just with some different ethnicity singing. Like, no, I mean,
Yeah.
we completely have a mixture of different genres and approaches, for which we're really proud of. So, that was how the song kind of came to be, and because it's so awesome, Lisa's record label, Dare Records, wanted to release it as a single. So, Ryan, now you can switch to the other
Oh,
page.
sorry. Did I just? There we go. Here we go. This one.
Is my bad. Yeah, so there
Yeah.
it is on Spotify, but that is Lisa's single version, Just to Be Close to You. So
Yeah,
want to
it's
first encourage
beautiful.
everyone to stream it. It's such a wonderful song. You can find it just by looking on the screen there. And Lisa, I'd love to hear just your perspective of how it all came together and what it was like, writing and
Yeah.
producing the track.
Sure. So first of all, thank you so much for asking me to be a part of it. That was just really cool and a huge honor to pay tribute to the music and the genre and the time that I love so much.
Hmm.
I don't know if you remember, I wanted to do Place in This World
Oh yeah,
back
I'm
in
so glad we did do
2021.
that for Keating Country. Yeah, I had no idea that was
Yes,
happening. So
yes, I really,
phew, dodged a
that's
bullet
like one
there.
of my favorite songs of all time. I used to
Yeah.
play
Yeah.
it, like I don't really play piano, but I used to try to play that song on the piano. And Chad and Karen approached me with Just to Be Close to You, which is an amazing song. But I didn't know how to accomplish a cover for that because it's like a refrain like over and
Yeah.
over, and it just is really this throne room kind of experience. And so I was really nervous to play you guys like what I came up with. I just was like, okay, how can we do this differently? How can, and prayed a lot about it. And when I just was thinking about Just to Be Close to You, okay, what are the obstacles to that? Like, what does it look like to want that and to not have that? And worked with my
Mm.
friend, the music director at Grace Covenant, Darian Duncan, on the music. And I was just like, I wanted to feel fresh. I wanted to feel like how that record, the Fred Hammond record, how that felt to us then. It was, it was something new, it was something different. But I was really nervous because it is very like R&B, and I was just like, I hope they like it. And it, it's off, very off the beaten path for this genre of music. So I thank you guys for allowing me the creativity and the latitude to just do what I wanted. And I'm so glad you liked it because it is, I was like, fingers crossed. But yeah, it was
Yeah.
it was really fun to kind of like think about that song in a different way, for
Yeah,
sure.
and I know all the Out of Eden fans have loved it. I know Fred, Fred obviously has commented. I know you've got something fun maybe planned with him, coming
Yeah.
out. So that's really exciting, and I know our fans have loved the single, and I know too.
That's
I mean, it's obviously I know it's been on the radio and been on a bunch of playlists. So excited to see it doing well and getting into the stereos of people all across
Hmm.
the world.
Yeah, same. It's it's always cool when somebody appreciates or likes what you're doing, and um, the hope is that it just draws people to Jesus, like reminds them like we've got a world where messages are thrown at us every day, all the time. I just saw that there was like I think in um uh South Korea, North Korea, South Korea. There was a challenge, like a do nothing challenge, and it was like 90 minutes without your phone, do nothing, and you could actually like win money for that. And it's like this is the world in which we live, where it's like difficult to do nothing. So the idea is instead of all the other stuff, and instead of focusing on what's pulling us every day, to focus on the Lord, like take some time to just connect with him and to get that refueling and that refreshing in his presence. So I hope that people
Hmm.
connect with the message like they connect with the music. So
Well, Lisa, I have an idea for you. If you really want the song to connect, I think you should put it out on cassettes, and
yeah.
then people will stick it in their car and they'll be stuck with it. So, because
There
this is
you go.
how clearly that's the way. So,
That's the
just an
way. That's
idea, marketingfromryan.com. I
yes.
have some,
Yes.
I'm a wealth of knowledge when it comes to music marketing like that. So,
That's great. That's great. I my daughter asked me, she was like, what was this again about a cassette? So,
yeah,
maybe we bring the cassette back. Let's bring it back.
seriously,
I'm
yeah,
on board.
the good old days.
Yeah, the
Oh,
rewinding,
Yeah, I know.
manual
With the
rewind.
pen, you put the pen in there and then spin it
Yes.
like that. Yeah, turn it around. Yeah, I know.
oh my goodness. We'll end on a very high note, and Ryan, I'm very
Okay.
excited to announce this. And this is a pinnacle moment in the '90s Worship podcast because we are sponsoring an event in conjunction with '90s Worship Night and Praise Charts. It's going to be on August 17th at the Museum of the Bible World Theater in Washington, D.C. It's going to
Fantastic.
be a live 90s worship night event.
Woo.
And it's going to be fun because we have Jeff Dio is going to be a part of the show. Charlie Hall, Brenton Brown, who all three have been
Wow.
on the 90s Worship podcast. And Lisa is going to be the featured artist as well.
So great.
So
Thank you.
we're super pumped about that. And it will be the first time in 25 years that you and Jeff have done I Can See Your Love for Him. I'm so waiting for that moment. That's just going
Yeah.
to be so cool, because probably the last time you did it was when y'all the live Sonic Flood album that came, the silver cover art, the live album.
Yes.
That's probably the last
Yes.
time y'all have actually sang
Yeah,
that
like the
together.
first and only time. So this will be, I think, the second time we sang the song live. Yeah.
So pretty cool, I think, right, Ryan? That's pretty neat that
Very,
we're
very cool.
making some history with this. And again, that song is so funny because I always laugh. I was a big Sonic Flood fan, with that album coming out. But I'll be honest with you, I never had heard of Out of Eden because I was listening to like pop rock music,
Mhm.
in my youth group. And that was how I first heard about you and Out of Eden, was you collabing on that, and just absolutely, loved your voice and everything. But then on the flip side, my wife knew nothing of Sonic Flood. She was a huge Out of Eden fan. So when that song came out, that introduced her to Sonic Flood. So to me, that's, just really the quintessential example of how, music, collaboration can bring us together.
Yes.
And that's what we're really looking forward to at this event in Washington, D.C., is bringing everyone together in worship.
In
It's going
live.
to be amazing. I'm
Look forward
super
to it.
excited to be a part of
Very
it.
good. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for joining us. You've been a wonderful guest. So many great stories, and I love your spirit and the music that you bring out. It's been a pleasure to enjoy this conversation with you. So
Thanks,
this is
Ryan.
Ryan Dahl,
Same.
Lisa Nicole, and Chad Gentry with 90s Worship Podcast. Stay tuned. We got lots more. I think Don Moen is next. Chad, we're going to interview the Don Moen.
Yep.
Oh my. Here we go.
Yep, absolutely.
It's going to be fun. All right. We'll see you at the next one. Thank you, Lisa. God bless.
Thank you so much.
Bye then.
Bye.